I don't know if you've ever seen Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, but it's kind of like a knockoff version of The Daily Show. The Daily Show with Jon Stewart used to be really good, and I'll give you one really simple example of why they were good. Jon Stewart had poignant and funny commentary. You could say that about a lot of people. But there was one point in which Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, presented undercover footage, which made, I believe it was Acorn, look bad. Jon Stewart uncritically showed this, criticizing the Democrats and Acorn. He had no problem throwing punches in any direction. But since he left and everything's become hyper polarized, you now end up with crappy knockoffs like Samantha Bee's trashy show. I gotta say, I personally don't like her because of some things she did during Occupy Wall Street. Very snooty and elitist and disrespectful, but we'll leave that for another day. Samantha Bee tweets about PrageU. Now, most of you are probably familiar with PrageU because you're on YouTube, and PrageU is huge on YouTube. She did a bunch of stupid things. She tweeted, "While Fox continues its lifelong quest to scare your grandparents into hoarding Franklin Mint coins, one growing conservative outlet is using colorful graphics and social media to appeal to a new generation. That outlet is PrageU." She goes on. PrageU's website says, "Prager University is not an accredited academic institution, but it is a place where you are free to learn. That describes every single place. The last place Sam learned something for free was in a bra store. She learned she's been wrong for 35 years. Ha ha ha, whatever. PrageU is actually dangerous. They're reaching a new, younger audience with BS conservative propaganda. They trick kids into thinking their videos are educational, even though PrageU is as much of a real college as Monsters University." We had a lot of thoughts about PrageU. Check our full story here. I absolutely despise and detest her, John Oliver, shows like this, where they purposefully try to take things out of context for the sole purpose of just, look, man, comedy is fine. But what worries me is when people think they're getting legitimate criticism and commentary. I don't know if you remember what happened with Jim Jeffries and Avi Jimenez, I think his name is. Jim Jeffries, he claims to be doing, like, it's comedic interviews. We understand this. But the framing is so, it's changed so much. And people think this stuff is real. Now, I get it. A lot of people are saying, well, that's their fault for being stupid. Look, there's a difference between telling a joke and purposefully reframing something and then acting like it's legitimately happening. There are a lot of people like Steven Crowder, for instance, who will use politics. It's political humor. But Crowder isn't misrepresenting what people are saying when he makes jokes about it. He'll show you their context and he'll go after it and then make a joke. What Samantha Bee does and John Oliver is they falsely frame the argument and set up a straw man and make the joke. Comedy, fine, do what you want. But there is a certain limit where you're purposefully misleading people. Now, I'll say this. That's why I don't like them. It's the same reason I've never been a big fan of InfoWars. Not because I think they're intentionally, for the most part, trying to do this. I think they're just wrong. But when it comes to Samantha Bee, it's not about her being stupid or wrong. It's about them doing it on purpose. And I know because I've seen her do it firsthand in New York when she was working for The Daily Show. I'd like to make a few important points about how stupid Full Frontal is with these tweets. First, I love the myth. Okay, it's kind of not a myth. I'll be fair. Fox News continues its lifelong quest to scare your grandparents. Uh-oh. She doesn't seem to realize that Fox News doubles the amount of views she gets in the key demo. Oh, what was that? Okay, not entirely doubles, but gets around like 80% more. That's right. I have actual numbers to show you. Here we have Full Frontal with Samantha Bee. She got a 0.32 in the key demographic of 18 to 49. Now, the challenge here is that 18 to 49 isn't the same metric I'm going to show you. I will, however, point out Tucker Carlson tonight on this list of the same day got 0.26. It's fair to say in this range, ending at 49, she does do a little bit better than Tucker Carlson. But come on, not by all that much. More importantly, Tucker's getting 3.27 million. So, okay, I get the joke. Tucker Carlson has a very large base of people older than the key demo. But when we look at Wednesday's the 12th, so this is the next week, we can see that Tucker Carlson in the key demo got 629,000. So I don't have last week's, and it's fair to say there's a bit of a back and forth. But the reason I'm bringing this up is it's a stupid argument to make that Fox News is scaring your grandparents, simply because he gets more viewers than you. We can clearly see there are nights where Carlson nearly doubles the key demographic views you get. And perhaps the reason this is higher is because we're now looking at the ages of 50 to 54. So in 18 to 49, Carlson is a little bit lower than Samantha Bee. Her audience probably skews a little bit lower, but we're talking about basically the same age. So Tucker Carlson's audience, and it's also 25. So I guess Carlson doesn't have a whole lot of 18-year-old viewers. I don't know. The point is, it's a silly argument to make, but it's because they don't really have one. Samantha Bee is getting around, last week, she got about 900,000 viewers. Okay. They rank this right now based on key demographic viewers because that's the most important. But what Samantha Bee is doing here is there's a couple other things I should point out. Calling PrageU dangerous compared to what she does. Let me explain to you what she did in this segment. There's a video here. I'm not going to play it. You can watch it. Dangerous PrageU conservatives clap back at Samantha Bee. She purposefully goes into PrageU videos, takes short snippets that you can't understand, possibly even quotes from other people, to make it sound like people are dumb. It is one of the most frustrating things, and it's why so many people on the left are morons. People on the right are morons too, but I'm talking specifically about what's making people on the left moronic. You see, I have this theory. Here's what I think is happening. I think that the left used to be a much broader base. Actually, you know what? I don't know if you saw the podcast, Timcast IRL episode I did with Jack Murphy. But he talked about how he went from Democrat to deplorable, and it was because a few issues came off the table, like, pot legalization, and it was cultural issues, gay marriage, for instance. And that made it really easy for him to switch over to the Republican side for Donald Trump. A lot of people left. Thought leaders left. People who are thinking about what they want and why they want it. You are left now with shows like Samantha Bee getting much less viewership than Tucker Carlson, but a back and forth in the key demo. So it is, for younger people, it does have a difference. I think it's fair to point out older people vote more, so Tucker Carlson probably has more political clout. But anyway, I digress. PrageU will make a video, and they'll give their argument. Is it a conservative perspective? Yes. Is it a sound, logical argument? For the most part, yes. I'm going to say for the most part because I'm not going to act like I've seen every single video they've made, and some of them I absolutely can criticize. But they're making legitimate arguments. They're not tearing people down or setting up straw man arguments for the most part. Samantha Bee literally does that. So this is what you end up getting. Nobody thought Prager University, okay, most people don't think PrageU is a legitimate university. That's silly. They understand it's a YouTube channel where people create educational videos and political arguments. Samantha Bee is a comedy show meant to make you laugh, but they trick you. Jon Stewart didn't do this. They do it. John Oliver and Samantha Bee falsely frame things for the sake of their argument because they're trying to prop something up so you can laugh, and it's easier. I'll explain to you in a simple analogy. You've probably seen those prank videos on YouTube where people go out and do something dumb, like throw something at somebody and then they get into a fight. I know people who think those are real, and I tell them they're not real. You know why? Do you know how much time and money it would take to get a positive reaction that you could use for a video? It would take forever. It's so much easier just to hire someone to give you the reaction you want. So these prankster channels will hire an actor and say, I'm going to do this, you do this. And they go, okay. The prankster walks out, does it. Lo and behold, it took 10 minutes to film the reaction they wanted. It was easy. If they were legitimately filming reactions, it'd be boring, totally boring. And therein lies the real problem for people like Samantha Bee. PrageU is entertaining in the ideas it presents and the arguments it makes, but it's not making you laugh. I'm sure sometimes there's some humor in there. Adam Kroll, I believe, has done some segments. Samantha Bee's goal is to do a comedy news show. So instead of actually presenting factual information and making a joke about it, it's easier to falsely frame things and then knock on a straw man to get laughs. The difference between the two shows is that Samantha Bee is a fake news comedy show and people think it's real. They're allowed to do it. I just don't watch it. But hey, they're more than, go ahead and do it. PrageU, as I stated, just makes YouTube video arguments and they do cultural commentary. They're nowhere near the same thing, yet they're calling PrageU dangerous, which brings me to the final point on this, and then we can read some of the story. John Oliver And Samantha Bee and The Daily Show and these other stupid shows literally produce leftist propaganda. I hate to call it propaganda. It's stupid, but it is. It's news information designed to push a point of view. So both PrageU and Samantha Bee are propaganda. The only real problem they have, I guess, is that Fox News often reaches substantially more key demographic viewers than they do. That's why it's dangerous. Oh no, heavens. Young people are on YouTube. People are free to express their ideas on YouTube. And you're on a crappy network making a crappy show, and you can't even crack 1 million viewers on your show in one night. I'm getting way more views than that on my content. But you know what? Fine. It's hard to compare TV to the internet. Online, Samantha Bee gets like almost no views. No, like, you know, the video she did about Prager a day after it went up had like 30,000 views. Okay. Prager gets like millions, but not on all of their segments. So it's hard to compare. But I can say that when it comes to YouTube and when it comes to honest, unscripted commentary, these videos do substantially better than your straw man arguments designed to tear down somebody by falsely presenting a quote, which is literally what they do in the show. Now, in this, they've got some quotes, some pushback. I've read you the tweets from her already, so let's read, because they have quotes now from from the personalities who've worked with PrageU. The Washington Examiner reached out to some of the most watched personalities on PrageU, all of them saying that their goals are to counter groupthink and expose young people to new ideas. Yes, that threatens Samantha Bee. I mean, I don't think she has any legitimate opinions anyway. She's a comedian. That's always been her bit. They're trying to go after, like, the female audience on Comedy Central. They're trying to get back what Jon Stewart was. And I'm actually saddened to see Jon Stewart go. I don't know why. Maybe he was on the show for a really long time. He retired. But look what happened to Colbert. Generic opinion. Orange man bad. Drumpf. John Oliver drumpf. Samantha Bee drumpf. There's no real substance to any of their segments. And John Oliver's the worst, man. He really, really is. Because the amount of lies and misinformation, in all of these shows, is horrible. It's horrifying. At least Trevor Noah sometimes has these great segments. He did one about Tulsi where he was actually defending her because the moderators asked stupid questions in a debate. So I like that. But Samantha Bee's whole shtick, same with Jim Jeffries, same with John Oliver, is false frame, easy knockdown joke. It's a repeatable, really stupid meme. And it got to the point, this is hilarious. Reddit is overwhelmingly biased towards the left, but even they started downvoting John Oliver videos because his whole segment is formula. It's 2019. It's current year. It became a meme where people were mocking how he literally would say the same thing. Whenever he would talk about some stupid idea someone would do or something someone would do, he would say, "Little Timothy over here." It's like, dude, we get it. You have one joke and you're saying it over and over and over again. We're bored, which is why shows like Joe Rogan, his podcasts, are doing so well. Shows like mine are doing so well. Unscripted commentary. We talk about various things. I don't plan it out. Joe doesn't plan it out. Some people do. But here's what I've noticed. You look at shows like Vox, right? Strike Through, Carlos Maza's thing. It's plastic. I was watching a BuzzFeed video. They went to the ski resort that banned plastic. It's got like no views. Nobody watches. And I know why. It's the audio equivalent of eating plastic. It just feels like you're not eating anything real. It's not food. And so when I watch and listen to this stuff, I'm like, you wrote all this out. There's no sincerity in anything you're saying. It sounds fake. The same thing with Samantha Bee. Her show is like hollow plastic. It's like the chocolate Easter bunny. You get this big piece of chocolate, there's nothing inside of it. It's a shell. It's nothing. Her whole show I'll tell you this. Samantha Bee is the Big Bang Theory of political commentary. The easiest way to put it. I hate the Big Bang Theory. If you like it, well, too bad. I hate it. There's no jokes. It's canned laughter nonsense. The whole premise of the show is like, I'll say something needlessly convoluted and talk in a weird way. And that's the comedy. Sorry, not interested in that. I like watching comedians like George Carlin. He made real points. He was telling the truth in funny ways. And it wasn't always political. Joe Rogan tells stories when he does his comedy. He does one bit about cats chirping at birds. Not political, but it's hilarious. It's an actual joke with a punchline. But you get these Big Bang Theory type viewers who end up watching Samantha Bee and laughing mindlessly at it, having no idea what's really going on in politics, and then thinking like, Fox News is scaring your grandparents. Fox News has 700,000 key demographic viewers, man. So let me be fair, actually, because if we go to Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, we look at the hard numbers, and we'll try and compare the actual ratings. So we can see that I don't know what these numbers are supposed to represent because it doesn't quite make sense. Different episodes, I suppose. But take a look at this. We're going to look at age group 25 to 54. No matter which number you look at, for whatever reason, it never really breaks. Maybe this, I don't know what the numbers are supposed to represent, but whatever. The best we have is 0.42, I think, 0.4, 0.42. Congratulations. In age group 25 to 54, Tucker Carlson got around 659,000 viewers. His show is more appealing to young people than you are. Anyway, my problem isn't so much with Samantha Bee. It's with you know what? I'll put it this way. Mainstream type cable TV news is like eating plastic. For the longest time, it's all we had, and we literally ate that plastic. But here's the crazy thing. Jon Stewart was substantially more sincere than all of these plastic personalities. What happened? I don't know. Maybe it's because the internet started to become more popular and more powerful. People like me left corporate news to do things like this. And now if you want real commentary and the actual thoughts of a person with no script, you're going to go on YouTube and hear what someone has to think. But if you want canned trash, you're going to stay and watch those TV shows. What I think is happening is the blockbusterfication of media. Blockbuster Video had an opportunity to buy Netflix and they didn't do it. When I worked for these big media companies, I told them you need to look at what's happening on YouTube. I kid you not. In 2013, I told Vice, and then when I went to Fusion a year later, I told Fusion, you need to get your personalities producing authentic, personality-driven YouTube content on individual channels. And they all said, interesting, and did nothing. So now here's what we're seeing. YouTubers are becoming successful and powerful independent creators, small businesses, sole proprietors. These big networks are fading. And check this out. I don't know how much money Samantha Bee makes on her show, but it's probably a decent amount. Advertisers love being on TV. She gets about 900,000, or she did on that Wednesday. That's fantastic. I'm getting more cumulative viewers on YouTube than she is. I can also point to the fact that I get more daily viewers than like CNN does, but on YouTube, CNN and Fox News absolutely trounce me and many other commentators. That although it is important to say that YouTube is driving, my viewers there. Oh, by the way, if you made it this far, you really should subscribe. You've been watching for 17 minutes, but I got to be better at that. Anyway, the point is, shows like Samantha Bee have become formulaic trash with no sincere opinion. Jon Stewart had segments, but you could feel it that he was like kind of telling you how he really felt. This is because their industry is decaying. They're trying to streamline, cut costs. But the production budget for me in this show is extremely low. My margins are extremely high, and that's why we're going to win. Not just because we're better at what we do, because it's more sincere, more honest opinion for the most part, cheaper to produce. They are archaic and obsolete, and they're threatened by it. So PrageU has really good production value. You've got the green screen, the fancy graphics and everything. It's not super cheap to produce those segments, and they do script them. But interestingly, there is still a little bit of a plastic sheen to what PrageU does in that their videos are presumably scripted. It's not the same as someone giving an off-the-cuff opinion like I would do, or like Joe Rogan would do. But it's not as bad as TV. It's actually substantially better. I'm not trying to disrespect PrageU's content. It's just there's a big difference between scripted content and off-the-cuff commentary. I happen to like off-the-cuff commentary a lot more because it feels authentic, like you actually know how someone feels, and they're not writing it down to make sure their opinion lines up perfectly with what they think you want to hear. PrageU makes arguments, though. So it's not necessarily the same as political commentary. They are giving political commentary, but they're making arguments about why they think their ideas are right. Shows like Samantha Bee and John Oliver are just complete trash that are created a formula to try and figure out what it is that you, the viewer, will laugh at, and that's all you get. They don't care about real arguments, and Jim Jeffries, too, complete trash. They have no real argument of substance. They don't care to have an argument of substance. They don't have sources backing them up. Samantha Bee literally goes in, takes a snippet of someone saying something simple like censorship from major corporations is going to get bad. And then she's like, censorship from corporations, but only the government. Like, did you actually present the real argument? No. But they're concerned that their weird machine no longer appeals to young people anymore. It used to. It doesn't. I don't think it matters if you're liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican. It matters if you're about free thought, expanding your mind, learning, and you care about freedom in general. These people don't. They are the hollow remnant shells that are left behind, the drying, collapsing, decaying husk that is left after thought leaders and people who used to be like George Carlin. When those people leave, when the George Carlin, inspired individuals, the free thinkers, walk away from your party, you are left with the plastic mannequins who struggle to repeat the successes of those before them. Jon Stewart was one of these people, a unique thought leader, and he retired. And what was left? A hollow shell trying to imitate him, but they don't know what they're doing or what they're talking about, and they can't replicate the success of someone like Jon Stewart. Take a look at Vice, and you can see something similar. You know exactly when the OG Vice founders left and started leaving it to the corporate minds, because Vice went from edgy and offensive to woke and safe. And that's what's happening to the left. Thought leaders are walking away and don't want to be involved anymore. People like Dave Chappelle are antagonizing the left. Joe Rogan has no problem talking about his support for certain left-wing individuals, his politics, but then ragging on a bunch of the woke BS. And it's leaving behind trash. I'll leave it there. You get the point. This one went long. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/Timcast, and I will see you all there.